Hi, welcome back. Today I am going to read to you the Constitution of the United States of America. And I have not read this portion since who knows whenever like if we went over it in school, like 30 years ago or something close to that. But I found this little book because a little over a year ago, it was like a year and a half ago, I opened up my own healing office um, because I was going to chiropractor and they had an office available that somebody had just kind of up and left from. And I don't know what that dude had been going through before he just left one day, but I know that there was an empty bottle of Fireball in the office and a full bottle. No, no, there was just two empty bottles of Fireball amongst numerous other things. And the people who own the building, they were like, if there's anything in there that you want to use, like furniture or whatever, then just go ahead and take it because he's not coming back for it. So I was like, okay. So this happened to be in there. And along with like a lot of medical stuff that I am interested in. So I can't remember what it was that he did, but he was sort of like a physical therapist of sorts. Um, but I have all these really cool like books and magazines because he had left them in his office, along with like a half-eaten package of Thin Mint cookies from Girl Scouts. This poor guy. I just say prayers for him because I think it had to do with his marriage ending abruptly when he didn't know it was going to happen. So anyway, that's the backstory. That's what I always think. You know, when we used to watch TV shows and sometimes they would do like the edits. What do they call that? It's like the behind the scenes of when people make mistakes. And that was like the thing that you looked most forward to, right? So I just do it in real time with my videos because then it's just more exciting. You're not watching all the polished stuff and just what they chose to, just what I chose to edit in here and like the rest is gone. So anyway, I just think life is really funny and we never see the behind the scenes of what's going on with people. We only see the you know, the final presentation. And most of us don't even ever get to presenting our final presentation because we can't figure out how to like edit all the regular details in life. Okay. So hopefully I give you the courage to just do stuff instead of waiting until it's perfect. So let's get started and hopefully I'll understand it all. And it is like so cold. My thermometer on my computer says that it's 54 degrees out here. But yeah, clearly the sun is out because it's light outside, but it's not out to where I can feel the warmth. But no complaints because in New York, it'll be like super duper cold. And then all of a sudden, it's like the inside of your house is like a sauna because it got hot. Okay. So I don't mind. I just dress appropriately. All right. The Constitution of the United States of America. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, insecure domestic tranquility. Oh, I'm like insecure. That doesn't sound right. Ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, which they spell defense DEFENCE, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years. It's so young, and been 7 years citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. All right, so sounds like they're only chosen if they are not a member of that state. I don't know. Okay. Um, Representatives and direct taxes shall be portioned among the several states, which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all persons. Okay, so that was like the 3/5. Yeah. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by direct law. Oh my gosh, just the way it's written is just so confusing. I'm going to have to read over it a couple of times so I can get a better understanding. The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least one representative. And until such enumerations shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose three, but it's spelled Chuse. Massachusetts, 8, Rhode Island and Providence plantations, 1, Connecticut, 5, New York, 6. Can you imagine compared to like the population that we have now as a New Yorker? New Jersey, 4, Pennsylvania, 8, Delaware, 1, Maryland, 6, Virginia, 10, North Carolina, 5, South Carolina, 5. They just like kept the population even between those states, and Georgia, 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and their officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Section 3. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof, for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after, they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election. They shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year, of the second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the third class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every second year. That's cool. I like that. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise, during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers, and also a President pro tempore, so that's spelled Tempore, in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Okay, I'm just going to interrupt here briefly, interject to say that I don't pay attention to anything that goes on in the outside world unless like my family or friends tell me about what's going on. But like I watch YouTube often, and so when I went to my YouTube like home screen yesterday, I saw that they're trying to impeach Trump. That was like the number one thing at the top of the screen, which I'm never searching that kind of stuff. So just so you know, YouTube has an override. It's like social media has an override to present what's still most important to what they want you to kind of be informed about, which means like to panic about. All right. But I want you to understand that I had talked about, I introduced all of the cards of the tarot deck yesterday, and I was talking about a 5 of Wands card, which is like when children are just kind of play fighting with these like sticks and battling, it's not like a real fight. And I want you to see how childish it is when they start popping all this information on the media, but they don't give you like the complete historical background information and where it's coming from and why it's happening. Okay. They're just doing things for like shock value to try to get you interested in it. So I want you to understand, like, just laugh at it. Okay. Start to detach from your fear of it and start to laugh at it. I told you that the astrological alignments, I am not an astrologer, but I'm smart enough to listen to them because the 3 wise men were astrologers in the Bible. They found Jesus, baby Jesus, by the stars. Okay. So it's like you can poo poo it and think that it's like devilish stuff, but it's very much not. It's like woven in. We've got stars representing each of our countries on the United States of America on our flag. Okay. So it's like, I just want you to see it in all areas and not be blinded by it because of some stigma that people try to like feed into you. All right. So just watch it as if you were watching Saturday Night Live. Okay. No matter how you feel about Saturday Night Live, just okay. So I want you to know that there is something woven into the fabric of the universe right now to divide us, divide you internally, divide us from the powerful. It's just, I'm telling you, it's there. Okay. So if you're feeling that, if you're feeling nervous about it, then feel secure in your fear that this is what is intended. Okay. It's to create attention in this area. All right. If you never heard about all this stuff, you would just go on about your little merry way and not your emotions feed into the frequency of what's going on in this world. And if you don't understand what that means, everybody can walk into a room and understand the feeling of that room, like even just in your family's house, right? You can feel the energy or the mood of everybody in your house. So you do feel energy all the time. Okay. I'm just going to help you to be more aware of it and then start to use how to learn it to know the spaces that you feel comfortable in because you can change the energy of that room. So let's just keep going. All right. Okay. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. That was okay. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. Section 4. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Right? Is this how things still are? I don't even know things well enough to know. I just know I went to go and see a friend of mine who's an assemblyman because I've been trying to get an appointment with him to figure out like how does one get into politics? How does one change things for their people? And this is the third time I tried to get in contact with him and he hasn't been available or I can't get through because it's like if you send an email, they've got all kinds of other digital things to keep track of. So I hear the bus. My boys will be getting off the bus very soon. So, oh, the point was that he wasn't there because he was heading to Syracuse to go and work on the budget. Now, I had gotten out of teaching in 2004 and I chose not to pursue it anymore because I kind of was kicked out. And the majority of the reason was because they didn't have a budget established for our county, or maybe it was even the state, but it was definitely our county. And I was like, these jokers, how are they going to ensure my income as a teacher if they have been months without a budget? So here we are, you know, um, it's been 20 years since that time, 21 years since that time, and we are right back to the same situation as we were back then. So my insight was good. Okay. My intuition on this thing was good. I, you know, I try to tell people like I know what I'm doing, and everybody around me is just like, you're so stupid. I don't know why you didn't just keep pursuing that. It's like, all right, okay, all right, hang on one second. Okay, I am back. I was just going to say hi to my sons because they got home. So I don't know if this is if I'm reading it over again, but I'm just starting at section 4. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once. Okay, yeah, this was a repeat. All right. Yeah. Section 5. Each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Oh man, don't you wish you could do that like everywhere you go? Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may, in their judgment, require secrecy. And the yays and nays. That just makes me think of Kanye West, the yays and nays. All right. Of the members of either house on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other. I'm sorry, I have Kanye West stuck in my head. Okay. Oh man. It's actually not Kanye. It's Nicki Minaj when she says like that she's all right, touring with Kanye. Anyway, neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services, these bitches, to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. Increased, ENCREASED. And no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. Bro, first of all, none of it makes sense to me yet, but I get a little bit of understanding. But you have to understand that, like, when they wrote this, they already had sort of like the people in place because they had like fought for their freedom together, right? A lot of these people were like military allies and co-workers together. So they knew the character of whom they were choosing from to lead them, okay? And it's like then they established this, and then once this was established, then this became sort of like the advertisement for who wants this level of power, right? So if you want that level of power, then you should gear your life into this type of occupation, all right? So you need to understand that when things are created, they're created on this pure level of what is best. And then once the thing is created, then people can manipulate it for greed and like power purposes, okay? All right. I'm not saying that everybody in power is like that. There's a lot of people who are there for the right reasons, but they get drowned out because they just get associated. Do you know every single person who's in Congress and Senate? Do you know every person who works for our government? It like even to include military personnel. Every single person is their own being. They operate on their own moral foundation that was like formed upon the foundations on which they were raised up in their environment. So you have to understand that like just because is the rule book of how it's supposed to all work does not mean it's like averages. It's like nobody is the average. As a matter of fact, the average is just formed by all of the different like things that we are, right? So like the worst doctor and the best doctor, they are not the average. It's like, okay, you understand what I'm saying. Hang on and let me figure out where I was at. Okay. Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it becomes a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approves, he shall sign it, but if not, he shall return it, with his objections to that House in which it shall have originated. Who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it? If, after such reconsideration, 2/3 of that House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent, together with the objections, to that other House, by which it shall likewise be considered, and if approved by 2/3 of that House, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both Houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each House, respectively. If any bills shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays excepted, meaning not on Sundays, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law in like manner as if he had signed it. Okay, so if he just ignores it, it goes into law unless the Congress, by their adjournment, prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate or House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. This just it's like in my world, if I were the president, it would be like um when I was in basic training, we were learning grappling. Okay, we were learning combatives, which is like jujitsu and grappling and Krav Maga. And so when people would have beef with each other in the barracks, the drill sergeants would go in there and they would take them outside, and we would all have to go outside, and they would have like a sanctioned fight. Okay, right? So they had to practice by the laws of military combatives. And that is how our government should be set up. Okay, people should be physically strong. You want to think that you're an alpha male because you like have a degree or something like that? That's not the way of the wild. All right, so it should be just that we are also, our leaders are so um equally strong physically, mentally, emotionally, you know, spiritually, that it should have to go to like legitimate battle, because combatives is you have to be really intelligent. You're not just like, it's not like boxing where you're just, beating each other until you knock somebody down. It's like a chess game. It's like a physical chess game. Okay, chess game. So I don't care who can write best and like who can negotiate best. That is not the way of nature. That is not what's best for the people. All right. So I'm just saying, like, in my world of what bills get passed, it would be like based on physical prowess and intelligence. All right. Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, im- imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce in foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes, to establish an uniform rule of naturalization, because you're supposed to use "an" in front of a word that starts with a vowel, but it doesn't sound right. Okay. And uniform laws on the subjects of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. And it is time that we move over to the metric system. It's like it's so much easier to understand. I wish you guys would just like all agree to it. We already do it in science and cooking and all this other stuff. All right. To measure for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States, to establish post offices and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and investors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, marque, Marque, and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia. That is like such a beautiful word to me, militia. It's just so pretty. And I know it's like a death machine, but even so, it's not really. It's a defense machine. It's almost like the mafia, right? It even kind of sounds similar. It's like only a few letters off. Okay. The mafia was formed to take care of its people, all right? To create equality and balance for its people when they were um, judged harshly against. So, damn, where did that All right. The appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may by secession, CESSION of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all the powers vested by the Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. Section 9. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation, not exceeding $10 for each person. I was just talking to somebody, okay, who told me that it cost his family $5,000 per person to get here legally, like legally. Okay. All right. Okay. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. I'm just curious about like what $10 was back before 1808. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. You see this? Ex post facto law. That's like Greek, right? Latin. Sorry. And attainder is spelled ATTAINDER. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, MARQUE, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States. And all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control, but it's spelled CONTROUL, control of the Congress. No state shall, without the no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, TONNAGE, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with any state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. I'm going to stop it right here because that puts us at Article 2, right? It's about a half hour. All right. Okay. I love you. I'll see you right back.